television into direct mail because that postcard, which you know about, women love that 6 by 11. It screams 20%. And when we first started, it was basically 20% on everything. Now it's a loss leader. Come in for one item, 20%. But that started a craze. They were the ones who really started the fact that it's called in-your-face marketing. It's in your face. You don't go to Bed Bath & Beyond to basically just buy one item. There you go.
And one of the things, Bob, I think that is your strength is that you change and times change. And even the example you just gave, I think is a good one. But they're even changing now. Bed Bath & Beyond is getting away from the postcards. I just read about this recently. And my wife, they now want to get into the Amazon thing. They want to get you to buy a membership. I think it's like $9.99
Sure.
a year. So you don't have to have the cards anymore. But I think that's one of the things that's really cool about you, that when you work with clients, you change and evolve, and we say that's true that, what
Absolutely.
you did 10 years ago or 20 years ago, last year even, isn't the same what you're going to be doing tomorrow.
Well, it's different. Every day is different. And now with the technology that's out there, what's happened is we, the professionals in the old media, like television, radio, direct mail, and so on, we need to make the adjustment. And if we don't make the adjustment, we're dead. We've got to be able to fit ourselves, or as I call it, blend what we do versus what the younger people do with the internet and social media and so on. Because it's not about just social media, and it's not about just television. It's like measuring a prescription. You take so much, it's got to be the right formula. Same thing. And coming to Asheville was an eye-opener for me because small businesses here, this town is based on small business. It's all about small business. And I found that they were very uneducated or naive, or whatever word you want to call it, to doing things outside of what they were doing, which was print advertising. Print advertising in Asheville is archaic. I mean, it's here, and it's not going away, whereas other parts of the country in small business, the publications are getting less and less. Direct mail was unheard of. They remember getting it as a kid or as an adult, but they think of postage and how much it costs. And that knocks them out of saying, well, let me use direct mail. Blaine, there are 4 things that make any campaign work. 4 things.
And Bob, I'm going to ask you, what are those 4 things?
I'm glad you asked. Okay, so let me tell you what you do. No matter whether you use social media, TV, radio, doesn't matter. Digital marketing doesn't matter. But here are the 4 things that I found that my job was to enforce and teach. You have to go to the right markets. You have to know your markets. You have to.
But Bob, let's
Yeah.
one of them each at a time. I think your point's well taken in that you could have the greatest advertising campaign, you could have the greatest promotional campaign, you could have the greatest product. But if you're reaching the wrong people, and give me an example of that if you can.
Sure. I specialize, what made my company really popular in the corporate world was I specialized in lifestyle change, which means I was able to take people who were going through their life and find them before an activity like pregnancy, marriage, moving, retirement, etc., etc. Find them and reach them at the point where these activities happen, and then track them for a year. So it was before, during, and after. A new mover. If you're moving, there is a before period. You're planning, you're packing up, and there are things you need. When you move, there are things you need, like the first 2 weeks you eat pizza. Think about it. You're in boxes. You eat pizza.
And we did that just when we moved, exactly.
Exactly. And so you don't necessarily buy furniture. You don't necessarily buy new accessories for your house. You want to live with it for a little while. And then we track somebody for a year, and when we do that, then the other items and products and services fit in.
But you're raising another good point too, Bob, and I see too many businesses forget this, that they'll sell somebody something once in that first stage, and then they forget about them, thereafter. And you have to realize you have to keep in touch with your customers and clients more than once.
It's the essence of success. If you don't do that, you're throwing away your whole formula for marketing success.
And just what you said, I just remember that when we moved, we got a mortgage, and the guy had sold me a mortgage 10 years ago. He was never in touch with me again, for 10 years, not once. And so we wound up choosing somebody else just because it's nice to be in touch with the
Communications,
clients.
exactly.
And that's one of the things I think you do well, but I cut you off. So that was the first thing, the right people you're trying to reach. And by the way, I just call it, you'll get a kick out of it, I call it the Willie Sutton rule of target marketing.
The
You know,
Willie Sutton, I remember Willie Sutton.
why do you rob banks?
Yes,
Because that's where the money is.
that's it.
So that's what you're telling when you
Exactly.
need it. Good point. So what's the second one?
Second thing is, you find the right market, and if you don't make the right offer, you're throwing away your money. So you have the right target, but you're offering something that is not worthwhile. Now, let me give you an example. Restaurants notoriously use discounts
Right.
or dollars off or whatever. Okay, so now you have some fine restaurants, which I'm proud to say are some of our clients in this town, and they don't want to give away money. They think their food is so good and it speaks for itself. And Blaine, it does. So what do? We do creative things like call this number and get preferred seating. Ah, preferred seating.
Sounds nice.
Yes, sounds nice, and it works.
And the nice thing about that one too, it doesn't actually cost the restaurant money.
Not at all. They just have to figure out, oh my God, we have a great response. Let's figure this out where we're going to put them. So it's an interesting way of not giving something out and also keeping the image of we're an upscale restaurant.
Also, treating your customers well is kind of an exclusive thing. You know, you can be
Absolutely.
like everybody else, but hey, because we value you, I like that. That's really cool.
Right.
And because, as you said, that, and I've learned that a long time ago too. Giving away product is not necessarily the thing to do. You know, to give it away doesn't make it, you know, doesn't get you business.
Free doesn't work
Well,
all
free,
the time. Yeah.
And people think that, but I learned that the
Sure.
same way. Good point. Second thing. So the third thing is.
Third thing is package, and package means what's the vehicle you're going to deliver this in? Is it going to be direct mail? Is it going to be television? Is it going to be internet, social media? What's the way you're going to take your market with the right offer, and how are you going to get it to those people? So packages, how are you going to get it to?
How do you find out what's the best package or best market?
A lot of it's testing, and the DM shop totally believes in testing. One of the things you do here, I am not a believer of signing contracts. How do you sign a long-term agreement with somebody? A, you don't know. B, you have no results, positive or negative. Work with the vendors or work with the people and have them set up a test program for you. Test program means you're just taking a piece of it.
Yeah. So the key is you said testing, and we were talking off the air a little bit about that too, Bob. The idea when you test, who should you be testing? In other words, in the Asheville area, you can test everybody, but are there better people to ask in terms of their opinion on something?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Matter of fact, we recommend that when we do testing, we go to the people who are already customers, asking them almost like a little mini focus study. What would push your button? Is it A, B, C, or D? And would you like to look at this piece or this piece? So we kind of cross test, and it's interesting what we find out. But the most important thing is the fourth thing. The fourth thing in this formula, A, B, C, and D, market, offer, package, is timing. Timing. Everybody forgets about timing, the value of timing. So the big agencies came out and said demographics, find out who they are. Then psychographics came, and that was lifestyle, find out how they live, and that'll match the product and service. And then we'll find out the best way to reach them. Is it television? Should we test radio? Should we test direct mail? What should we test? But timing is the key. Timing means you're reaching people at the time they're most likely to buy something.
And that's back to the example I think you were mentioning in the beginning, when people just move in, they have need for certain kinds of things.
Pizza, pizza, pizza.
Yeah, well, I'm telling you, Bob, first week, that's all we were doing, we were just ordering, you know, pizza and others.
And you can test the pizza places. You can order from Joe's and Frank's and Sam's.
That's exactly what we did. But what's so funny, Bob, is that none of the people captured our name or email or asked us if we want to hear from them again.
Now you're hitting a sore spot of mine, which is why doesn't every small business have a database? That's their goal. That's what they're going to live off. I'll give you a good example. I have a client in the restaurant business who basically over the years was smart enough to compile now 5,000 emails, text numbers, And guess what? If it snows, boom, he's out with a promotion. If it rains, if it's heavy winds, if it's Tuesday, Wednesday, new pizza, new this, that's what you do. But you can't do it until you have your own collection of information. One of the things that gets me crazy is you go into a restaurant, you put your card in, or you fill out a little blank, and it says free lunch.
Right.
Picking every week.
Right.
I went into one restaurant, shall be nameless, and the bowl, the fish bowl, the old fish bowl was filled, overflowing. So I put in my card, and now you say, good, free lunch, it's a good offer. See, free lunch, good offer.
Good point.
And I asked the general manager, after you pick the winner, what do you do with it? And they said to me, looking me straight in the eye, what do you mean? We throw the cards out, we start over again. I thought if there was such thing as having a heart attack on the spot, that would have been it.
But I'll listen to that story, Bob. It's such an incredible story because I killed it, 5,000 names.
Of course.
Also, Bob, how do you address this question that some people tell us, and you get it often too, that they don't want to be contacted, and they don't, you're sending them stuff they don't want. Well, how do you find out if they do want it? You just ask them.
Well, email has their opt-in, okay, so that's great.
Exactly.
In direct mail, believe it or not, smart marketers will say, would you like to continue to receive it? One famous company which Publisher Clearinghouse, everybody knows Publisher Clearinghouse because you can become a multi-millionaire overnight. They're not in the magazine business. They're not in the product business. They're in the database business. They collect multi-millions of names and then they rent them out to non-competitive offers, but they use it to do their advanced marketing.
Well, what I get sometimes about from clients, and I find incredible, is I'll get asked the question, well, what if we're too pushy? Or, what if are we bothering people? And I say, well, the alternatives don't do anything, But how do you address that issue that, and I think you kind of commented on it, is if you want to find out from clients whether they want to get your mail, how do you find that out?
Well, if you don't want mail, there is an organization in the DMA, Direct Marketing Association, which puts you on the Panda file, which means your address will never be reached, and it's sold to different companies who have respect for people's privacy. The only embarrassing thing about it, and the bad thing about it, is when we sell college student names, God forbid if something happened to that college student, the kid got into an accident and so on, it's heartbreaking to hear from a parent who says, my son passed away. So yes, we encourage people to call us. You don't want to receive it, we don't want to waste the paper.
But on the opposite side that I was trying to get at is that people actually look forward to getting stuff.
Absolutely.
That if I sign my name up to get a text alert, or if I sign my name up to get email alerts, to find out there's a sale that day or get free pizza if I buy one pizza, I'm welcoming that.
Absolutely.
So you're just inviting people to find out about the good stuff you're doing.
Most people are very, very happy to receive direct mail, contrary to what they believe. but direct mail, which some people call junk mail, is no longer. It has a resurgence. It's whole. When there was no internet, it was about direct mail marketing, but postage has gone up. So I'm a big believer that small businesses should take things carefully. Don't sign contracts. Test, and then if the test works, test again. So after 2 tests are successful, then you can roll it out. And the key here in Asheville, and I really believe the small business, is education. If we can educate these small businesses to understand there's more to life than social media, there's more to life than just doing digital. Once again, I use the word blend. If you can learn how to have a marketing plan by blending logical things together, they should be synergistic so they work for you together. If you have a TV ad, you should promote your website. If you have, just promote your website anyway. But there's something about direct mail that's magic. I think it truly is the only medium that gives you the specific target. I mean, we press buttons, 215 million names with more combinations that you could ever imagine. For example, I want somebody who lives in a house. I want somebody who is single. I want somebody who's single and has a child between the ages of 4 and 6. I want that person to play golf. I want that person to be a subscriber to Time Magazine, on and on. Now, the more selections you make, the less, because there's more selection. But let me tell you, I am fascinated by the results clients get by direct mail.
Bob, if a client spends money on marketing, direct mail, advertising, however they want to spend it, for every dollar they spend, what kind of response should they see?
Okay, so that's a great question, and the answer is the industry they're in. If insurance agents and financial services clients are trying to sell their services, if they got half of 1%, they're doing well. Because it's not how much you get back, it's what you convert. So the success is, I had a land developer who said to me, you know what, out of the 5 different companies I tried, the leads that came in from your company was far below anybody else. I said, oh, how so? And he said, but the reason I'm keeping you is the conversion rate was so much better.
Well, and that's the example you gave earlier. It's a classic example, Publishers Clearinghouse, you know. You say, well, they send out billions of pieces of mail, and maybe only 0.5% convert, or whatever the number is.
More
right,
converts.
it's more, but I'm saying, but it doesn't matter, is if they get leads, they get business out of it, and that's how I think small business should seek, that if they're getting business out of what they're spending the money on.
Exactly, and Publishers Clearinghouse is a prime example of what I call guilt mail. Guilt mail, and I'll tell you why. Because they keep saying you're entered into the sweepstakes, and check here and you'll double enter into the sweepstakes, but you know, we haven't had an order from you in 2 weeks. They continually work their database. A good pizza place, I'm changing subject, a good pizza place when you call knows that you ordered on October 15th, you ordered a cheese pie. That's the technology of all the systems that are available to the, you know. So tracking is, that's the other thing. My attitude with advertising and marketing is, if you can't measure it, why are you doing it? Measurement, trackability, it's all part of, you're spending money on an ad or you're spending money in Facebook, that's fine. What are you getting back?
And Bob, I'll ask clients that so often, and incredibly, most of the time I get an answer they don't know. You know,
Hello.
that you're spending money, that's fine, you're entitled to spend money, but is it working for you? If it's not working for you, why are you spending it? Or more importantly, what you said, if you don't know if it's working, can you help clients figure that out?
Absolutely, and it's a marketing strategy plan that takes the dollars they want to spend. See, it's not coming to them and saying, well, this will cost you X, Y, Z. Then you lose the client. It's, hey Joe, how many dollars do you spend now? How many dollars are you willing to do to turn this around to make it successful? And so you work within the client's budget.
And the other problem I find, Bob, with clients, and I'm sure you see this as well, is they'll get the business open, which is great. They'll get hire staff and whatnot, but they don't devote any money to marketing. They don't think that, you know, if you want to get customers there, you may have to think a little bit about spending some money to get clients.
They think about putting in a fancy fish tank.
Right.
With, you know, that, and I hear it commonly, oh gee, I have no money for marketing left.
Right, exactly.
Left. Well, you think, and the magic is, this is the best. Word of mouth. I hear so many people saying, we just opened, word of mouth will work. And I said, no, word of mouth will work after you have an audience, then it works. But you don't start that way. You start, you know, we're a big believer that the first thing you do is, if you're in a neighborhood, South Asheville or North Asheville, first thing you do is let people know you're there. And I don't think a newspaper ad, I don't think a magazine lets you know you're there because the competition is so great. And listen, you can't afford more than an eighth of a page, so it's very hard. People turn. Nothing sticks. However, in direct marketing, you get this oversized postcard, and it says, we are located here. For the initial offer, you're going to get this. I have a client that does 3 offers because he wants to test offers. Is a free pizza better? Pizza's a big thing. Is a free pizza better than buy one, get one? Is giving a discount on gift cards? There are various different ways to do it. Now, this town, it could be a gold mine for the businesses if they would step back to go forward.
This town is a gold mine, though, I think, Bob, for one thing. That's having you in the community, you and your wife as well. And I will say that I've known Bob for a bunch of years, and you're the absolute best in terms of what you do.
That's very kind. Thank you.
How do they reach you?
Okay, they reach me by going to our, here it comes, website. And the website is, can I give the website?
Please, yeah.
Okay, it's www, I'm the old fashioned guy, I still use
Me
www.
too.
dot The, T-H-E, D for direct, M for marketing, shop, SHOP.com.
Okay, and so that's one way they can reach you. They can get information about all the good stuff you do.
They can telephone us.
Right. People use telephone still?
You know, yes, they do. All right, so the telephone is 828-645-8411.
I'll have you repeat that.
Yes, thank you. 828-645-8411.
And I'll mention one last way they can reach Bob. If they're affiliated with Mountain BizWorks or their client is Mountain BizWorks, just go through Mountain BizWorks and they can hook you up with Bob. And again, good advice, Bob. And I encourage folks to think about a lot of the stuff you said, because if you don't think about it, it ain't going to get done. So even though we had technical difficulties, Bob, I do think we were on Facebook Live for the second half of the show. I want to thank you for being my guest the first half hour of the BLAINESWORLD show, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the neighborhood.
Oh, sounds like Mr. Rogers. Thank you very much.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks.
Okay, good seeing you, Bob.
Thanks.
A lot. As Bob works his way out of the studio, we're going to have the second guest come in, and as they do, I'm going to mention a couple of the upcoming theater productions in the Asheville area that we encourage people to see.
Okay.
One's not a theater production, but it's a comedy show put on by a friend of mine, Jason Shoulder, and he is with Marquee Comedy, and he has a show this Saturday, November 16th at the Galley Bar in Mills River at Mills River Brewing Company. A lot of the top local people, top local comedians going to be there. Just a fun thing to show. Also, at 35 Below, which is 35 Below Asheville Community Theater, God of Hell by Sam Shepard opens up this weekend, November 1st to the 3rd. It also runs the 8th to the 10th and the 15th to the 17th. And that's going to be at 35 Below at Asheville Community Theater. And if you look up Asheville Community Theater, you'll be able to attend that show. And now it's my pleasure to introduce a trio of folks who just worked their way into the studio. And they are also with an upcoming show that I'm going to see this coming Sunday. And if I get, let me see if I get the names right. And they are, let's see if I get all the names right. And they are Lara Holloway, Pat Edwardson, and Christy, pronunciation last name?
Montesiano.
Okay. We'll say Christy. Okay.
I wanted to hear you give it a try.
These are three of my favorite local performers. I should mention that, first of all, I think we're in luck, and we're on Facebook Live, so you can wait for all your fans and friends in Facebookville there. And we should mention that I've seen all three of them in several local shows. I'm looking forward to the upcoming show. And Lara got a start in professional theater at age 11 when she was chosen one of several hundred little girls as the understudy to Annie, with Fanny Flagg and Robert Hall. Very impressive. In Birmingham, Alabama, she's performed in musicals and places across the country ever since. Most recently, Laura has been at Magnetic Theater, Avenue at Asheville Community Theater. You name it, you've been there. Getting around.
I've been busy.
Did you ever do, by the way, back to Annie, did you ever get to play the role?
Oh yeah, many times.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we're gonna put that mic up then, I think we'll be there, we'll be in good shape. We should also, that Matt is also a local actor, debuting, having his debut with Alex Walt. He's also been in, you name it, Parkway Playhouse, you've been at ACT, and does a lot of bunch of things. And Christy, I don't know if I have your background, but Christy, I do as an actor. I won't go the last name, but actor around Asheville, having previously been in such productions as Blue Window and Sonia, Marsha and Spike at Attic Salt, as well as Sweeney Todd and Avenue Q at ACT. Fluent in Spanish, she's also a certified healthcare interpreter. The question I ask of all folks, and I've asked this of Lara once, but I haven't asked Matt, I haven't asked Christy, is that when you were a little girl growing up, where did you grow up?
For the most part, in Weaverville.
Weaverville. So when you were growing up in Weaverville, did you always know you wanted to be a performer?
I started doing some community shows in sixth grade, so around 11, 12. So yeah, I mean, I always wanted to. I didn't know if I always would be doing it, but yeah.
What was the first community show?
It was The Music Man,
And where was that?
North Buncombe High School Community Production.
Okay. I'm going to ask Matt the same question, and I'm going to share an idea with you, Ben. But do you remember, as a kid, you grew up, did you want to be a performer?
I didn't know until I was in high school. I started singing in junior high, and then I saw my first professional production of a music theater show down in St. Louis. I grew up near Springfield, Illinois, and I was just blown away. I was a Midwest boy who was like kind of scoffed at it initially, but in the end, it was Les Mis, and I was in tears by the end, and knew I wanted to do what they were doing. So,
Did you ever do Les Mis?
not yet. It's on my bucket list.
And I was saying to people, we should do it locally to have it in the Asheville area. I don't know that anybody's done it in the
No.
Asheville area.
I'll be a big proponent if it ever comes up.
Okay, for sure. And Lara, you grew up where?
I grew up in Birmingham, Alabama.
Okay. And so you started acting at a very young age.
Yes, 11.
And so Annie was the first thing you were in?
Annie was the first professional show I was in. I did a lot of, school plays and church things before then, but that was the first professional production.
Do you remember the first school production or church production?
The first school production was in kindergarten, and it was Peter and the Wolf.
You remember it? Okay. And what was your role?
I was a pig. I was a pig.
You were a pig.
Oh, Christy, I have this great idea, though. I'll share it with the three of you. I think Lara's heard it. But what a great fundraiser for a local theater. It could be Attic Salt, it could be Asheville Community Theater. That everybody come and do their first role they ever did as a kid. As a pig. You can make you come back,
Yes,
And
yes.
because I'll bet, too, did the videotape of that?
No, this was, way back before a lot of people had video
But
cameras.
even regular cameras. But wouldn't that be great if we could show everybody's very first role? Wouldn't that be a whole thing? We could do the 5-minute version of Les Miserables,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Reader's Digest
That'd be
version.
hilarious.
But just, I thought that'd be a fun thing
Yeah.
to do. So fast forward, we'll now talk a little bit about the show you folks are coming up in. Very excited seeing it this Sunday. And Christy, what's that show?
It's called Dinner with Friends.
Okay. And what's that show all about?
Well, asking me. I mean, it's about relationships.
Well, you're one of the friends,
Yeah,
so.
I'm one of the friends. It's about relationships and relationship dynamics. Relationships of people coming together as far as friends, couples, two couples, and the sort of ins and outs and the coming together and maybe the falling apart of relationships.
And your other part of it, there are two couples, as you said.
Yes.
And so I assume, I shouldn't assume that Matt and Lara, you're one couple?
Yes,
Okay,
correct.
we'll talk
They
about that in a second.
didn't want to be, but
Well,
no.
wouldn't that have been fun? We'll talk about that in a second.
Exactly.
But so you're a couple with somebody else.
I am coupled with Jeff Katniss, who
Okay, so
wasn't
also-
able to be here today.
He's also directing.
Who is
that
also directing, yes.
as well. Now, are you the couple that are having problems? Or?
We are, yes. How could you guess?
Well, no offense to Jeff, but I can say Jeff as well. But you're raising a really cool concept. And we'll turn to Lara and Matt. It's a little bit typecasting though, but you are cast as a couple, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And we should mention that also you coincidentally happen to be a couple, is that correct?
We are.
Okay. And you're not only a couple, you're
Married couple.
Married.
married couple. Now, have you ever acted together?
We have. We actually we met doing theater. We met doing Pirates of Penzance in Southern California, and
This is our 4th show together.
yeah. So we've also played brother and sister in You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown, and
We were in Avenue Q together
Avenue Q
here.
together, and yeah, this is our 4th show together.
Now, is this the first time you've been married?
In the
Yes.
show, yes.
Yes, I was actually commenting on that in rehearsal recently, how it was interesting as an actor to, whenever you're intimate with someone on stage, there's always the period of adjustment and kind of getting to know each other, but it's like we could dive right in because we're already familiar.
But Matt, what would have been interesting, we were talking with Christy, is if we had flipped it,
Right.
and-
Yeah. We originally thought.
Oh,
that
did you
maybe-
really?
It was considered.
Considered. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, when you rehearse lines, do you read with each other?
Matt and I?
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a little bit.
We have different processes for learning, so some of the prep work we do separately, but then some of our scenes we can practice together. So.
Because some people tell me they actually don't like, rehearsing with a spouse or significant other. They want to stay away from that. That's all.
Yeah. Well, being that we are, I mean, I might say that if it were a different role and he weren't in the show, but being that we're playing opposite each other, we have so many scenes together, it only makes sense.
Yeah.
It's just a little extra rehearsal time apart from rehearsal.
And the same question in terms of when you rehearsalize, because I'm always impressed, that people can, memorize lines. Do you do this with anybody, or do you?
I don't. I don't tend to, except when we get together in rehearsal. I do it on my own otherwise, yeah.
Now, how long have you been in rehearsal?
How long?
2 weeks?
Couple weeks.
3, I think.
3 weeks?
3.
So 3 weeks, but I think we've had like 2 to 3 rehearsals a week. So it's not like it's been sort of a staggered process. We haven't had
We had
rehearsal
some illness
every night.
sweep through, so that we missed some rehearsals.
So essentially really it's a pretty quick rehearsal process.
How's it like working with the person you're playing off against, who's also the director? Is that tough?
Jeff and I have worked together quite a few times, so it wasn't rough. However, it is nice to have someone else's eyes out there to tell us, what's working and what's not. Because conceptually, he knows what he wants, but he can't also stand back and watch it happen when he's in the scenes. So it's nice to know like the concept of what he's looking for, but also have an extra set of eyes. And Matt and Lara have been those extra set of eyes plenty of times, and we've also had Marcy, who's the artistic producer at Attic Salt, come in and be another set of eyes, and our stage manager as well.
Because I find it interesting, a lot of performers or actors, and we'll ask each of you folks this as well. I asked, do they rather act or direct? And a lot of actors, and I think Jeff's a very fine actor, but he's told me, I believe, and most actors have said that they prefer directing now once they've done it. Have you ever directed?
I do not like it.
Have you ever directed?
I have. I had to direct for my bachelor's in theater. I mean, that was required. So I directed, but I did not like it. It was not comfortable for me.
And how come you didn't like it?
I enjoy reading plays. I get an overall idea of the play. I do not have like this vision and concept and things like that people can see a lot of times so easily with a play. I really gravitate towards certain characters when I read it, so I immediately start looking at it from that point of view and from my own perspective of how I feel with that character, or where I see that character, or how I see that character going or developing, and it really sort of blocks my vision from being able to see it as a director from the standpoint of standing back and seeing this whole picture and this whole concept, and it just doesn't come to me the same way as it does to other people who have an affinity for directing.
Now, in this particular play, when you were cast as the role you had, did you see yourself in that role, or did you see yourself in Lara's role, or could you have seen yourself playing Lara's role?
Yeah, I could see myself playing Karen, the role that Lara plays. I play Beth, and I think both of us, we talked about it a little bit, how it could have gone either way. There's a little bit of Karen in me, maybe not entirely. She's got some principles that maybe I don't have. But at the same time, Beth goes in a different direction than, to another extreme, I think, sometimes that's far, out of character for me personally, too. So I could go either way with it, and think either way it would be some things that I can relate to and some things that I can't, so.
Yeah.
One of the amazing things I saw, it was years ago, it was on Broadway, they did The Odd Couple, and I thought it was so fascinating that they switched roles,
Yeah.
Felix and Oscar, because you just did The Odd Couple,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
And did you have fun with that?
Oh, it was a blast. So much fun, yeah.
Now, let's see, I've seen you in comedy, I'm trying to think if I've seen you in drama. Do you have a preference, comedy or drama?
They're both so different, and you get different things from from each. So I did a comedy and a drama back to back. I did The Odd Couple, which was incredibly, I don't know, charactery and fun and cartoonish almost. And then went directly into Indecent, which was very, very dramatic. I would say I probably had a lot more fun with The Odd Couple, just because the drama in Indecent, it weighed so heavily on me every night, and I couldn't. I felt like when I got home, I couldn't wash it off. You know, that character really stayed with me, and I was exhausted after that run.
And I've forgotten, I did see you and loved you in Indecent, but certainly different than Avenue Q.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Well, and there's such a gratification. Don't you guys agree? Like when you can hear the laughter coming from the audience, and you're like, I am improving their night. You know, they're having a great time, and there's something that like you leave a comedy feeling like I've done something amazing here. I make people laugh. You know, yeah.
Well, it's interesting, and I was so impressed when I saw Christy in the Vanya, whatever that is too.
Right.
But that's just kind of neat play too, because people were laughing in it, but it was serious. So, you know, that's like a really interesting twist when you have both happening.
I think that's my preference. If that kind of a show that's got so dramatic things, emotion, that kind of stuff, but yet also has humor
and
in it.
This one kind of
that's what you're talking
yeah,
about.
there's going to be laughter, but there's also there's serious moments. There's moments that make you think. I mean, this is a Pulitzer Prize winning play.
And that's what it sounds like. But it reminds me the same thing too, Matt. I think the first time I saw you was in Avenue Q. I think I said, boy, that's kind of a neat role, but I couldn't see you doing anything else. But, I said, wow, but isn't that cool? As a compliment to Matt, a compliment to all three of you, they can play different roles, So, Matt, I saw you just as this goofy guy with a puppet, and just having a fun time up there.
I like to do voices anyway.
No, but it was so cool. But then I saw you in some other things as well. And then the one part where it was the play you were...
A Gentleman's Guide, or
I saw
Humans?
both.
Yeah, okay.
And both were very different. So the same thing too, do you enjoy playing different roles?
Oh yeah, definitely. And a lot of my history, I trained in music theater, but I did a lot of opera for a lot of my professional career. So I talk about dramatic. So I played a lot of dramatic roles in the opera world. But yeah, I love them both. But like Christy said, I agree with her. There's something gratifying about hearing laughter. I mean, when you move someone, you don't, unless they're sobbing uncontrollably in the audience, you don't typically have an audible response. When it moved in a serious way.
I think it's fun as an actor, to do, to be able to channel some of those harder things, serious things, emotional things. It's gratifying for us as actors to be able to find those things and to draw those things out of ourselves and to be able to perform those things. But there also is something just fun about being able to hit timing just right in comedy, which is its own difficult skill.
Yes.
And you do get the satisfaction of when you do hit it right, the audience laughs, and so you know that. So I think there's pleasure in both. But you're right, with something like Indecent, I mean, it can get really just emotionally heavy for the actor to carry all the time.
Yeah, and I feel, I mean, at least from my perspective, comedy is more difficult for me than drama. Most people would probably think that drama is, but as an actor, comedy is much more difficult because of the timing, and you don't, with a lot of plays and characters, you don't want it to seem too over the top, and finding that happy medium of realistic and, but getting the timing right, and it's definitely gratifying when you can make it happen.
And Matt mentioned his favorite play, and perhaps one of mine too. Les Miserables was so fantastic about it. Very serious drama, but they had some fun parts in it too. That a couple of them.
Master of the house.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll just digress, and I'll turn it back to you people. But the very first time I saw Les Miserables, I'm in New York. Same thing too. I was just so into it. I'm loving every minute of it, and all of a sudden, I feel somebody grab. I was in the first row center, best seats I ever had. And all of a sudden, I see somebody grab my knee, my leg. It wasn't my ex-wife. It wasn't the guy next to me. It was somebody from the pit. I was so, and the pit was right next to the theater.
Oh.
I was so into it. But isn't that great when theater can do that?
Yeah.
But I still remember all these things, but just so emotional, you know, that
Yeah.
theater, and that's what the show you did at Magnetic kind of had that reaction to it
Yeah,
too.
absolutely.
Powerful performance. And what's great, I think, what Alex Wolf is doing with the three of you, it's also fun when I see a play I haven't seen before. You know, so this play, had you ever seen it before?
Seen it? No, I'd read it.
You
Read it, but yeah, I've not seen it.
No, I've not seen it either.
But it's a question I often ask of performers as well. And this one too, there's no history on it. You know, there probably aren't even YouTube, are there YouTube clips on it?
Well, there was a movie.
Oh,
There
yeah.
was a movie made, yeah.
In 2002, I
Same
think.
name?
Mhm.
Yes, Greg Kinnear, who else was in that? Dennis Quaid,
I mean, I
forget who
didn't
were
even
Toni
know,
Collette.
I didn't
Oh,
know
yeah.
there was
Oh,
a
great
movie
cast.
really until this, although I'm not surprised, but
Well-
I didn't pay attention.
Well, let me ask you your opinion then, since you mentioned the movie. Have you seen the movie?
I've just seen little clips here and there, but no, I haven't watched the
So-
entire movie.
What's your feeling about that, Christy, about if there is a version of something, do you want to see it before you do the plot?
No, personally, I stay away from that. No, I never want to see something else that has already been done. I mean, if I happen to have seen something in the past, like, you know, if I were to be in Annie, well, I've seen Annie
Yeah.
100 times since I was a child. But on the whole, once I'm cast in something, I definitely would not search it out and would not look to find clips, would not look to find other
Yeah.
performances or movies of it. And even if I had seen it previously, I would never go back and reference it once I'm cast.
Would you want to see it after the fact?
Some other production
Yeah.
of it, sure.
I mean, that'd probably be
that's
fun.
fine.
Because
Yeah.
Yeah.
then it's not their spin.
It's
To
tough when
see
you see
different
it.
choices they've made and things like that. Yeah.
It's tough watching it when you're prepping because it takes more of a conscious effort not to. You don't want to mimic what someone else has done. You want to make it your own. So you know, it's if you do see something, you have to be a lot more conscious about. Am I making this decision because I'm making this decision?
I will say, I did go back with Indecent. I went back and watched that just because it is a very different style of theater, and in the explanation, all of the actors, we were having a hard time gaining the concept. What do you mean we never leave the stage? What do you mean we're sitting in the back? How does this transition work? It was very, very odd for us. So all of us went and watched at least a little bit of it just to get a feel for the flow and the style of production it was going to be. But yeah, you definitely don't want to watch it too much because then you'll.
I mean, I feel like, you know, we make choices. We have to find our reasoning. There's an action, a reaction, and why we act and react the way we do, and it's there in the script. But every actor and director finds their own way with that, and it ultimately is the same, you know, story, but there are different choices that we as actors and even as a director make, and you can have a choice that you've made, and then you go watch something and you're like, oh, they did that totally different.
Yeah.
And then you're questioning, like, am I out of left field? Does that not make sense? I saw it this way. And then, you know, so I think making your choices and knowing why you've made them, and if they are the right, you know, as that actor, they're the right choice for you, they're getting you from A to B to C, where you need to be as you grow or as the character develops or changes throughout the story, then that's great. But, you know, once you start watching other people's stuff, I think you have like Matt was saying, you know, it far more likely to just start co-opting someone else's work without even whether you want to or not, or questioning your own work and not fulfilling what you really have to bring to the table.
How important is it, Matt, for you to believe in the part you're playing? In other words, that Christy was saying that, you know, you're seeing something, but when you audition for a play or even when you're in a play, do you ever find yourself saying, this is like the perfect part for me, and or just the opposite, that maybe I shouldn't be playing this part, or maybe I shouldn't even audition for it? I mean, are there certain things you won't audition for?
Not really. I mean, it's one thing as an actor, you try not to judge the character, and I like to stretch myself, so doing characters that are far different than I am. It's exciting. You know, I would say if it's a well written piece, especially, I'm all game. You know, I mean, there are things like physicality wise, like if it's a part that calls for someone who's supposed to be 18 years old, you know, obviously that's not me. And unless there's like, unless the director has some interesting concept on why he's having a, you know, 40-something guy portray an 18-year-old person, you know. Anyway, yeah. So no, I would say I wouldn't preclude myself or from auditioning from something.
Same thing to Lara. Will you?
Yeah, so for me, I think it's a little bit different. When I read a play, there are definitely characters that jump out at me and that I really feel like I love this character, I can do this part. And then others that just don't really appeal to me all that much. I probably wouldn't audition for those characters, just because I might feel like I don't necessarily have as much that I could bring to that character as this one over here, you know? And I really try to listen to that, like which character really jumps out at me and grabs me.
Did that happen in Avenue Q?
Oh, well. So Kate Monster is a dream role. I saw that on Broadway several times, and I never thought I would play that role. In fact, I didn't audition for Kate. I auditioned for A Bad Idea Bear. Actually,
my part.
I did.
Because Christy was in that too, right?
I never expected to even be considered for Kate.
And you were great. You
So
were
wasn't
she? She was the perfect choice.
And
She was
that
the
was
perfect
too.
choice.
Yeah, because I don't know about you, but when I see a play, and again, come on to Jeff and some of the local directors, I'm really impressed with the casting. I mean, I don't know because of the Asheville Theater, but we have really good performers, I think, in the Asheville area. And when you see it's like indecent, you know, it's just really well cast, I thought. And each of the characters I could believe in, you know. And you didn't have the lead role in Avenue Q, but it's a fun, you and Marcy, right?
It was so much fun. Yeah, Marcy Bernstein and it was one of the most fun roles. Yeah.
Was
And
it?
I had
a hard time.
Idea Bear was so much fun.
I had a hard time even like looking at her because as the puppeteer, you're looking at the puppet. So I'm hearing her voice, but looking at the puppet, and I had such a hard time every night not cracking up. They're hilarious. They were absolutely hilarious.
Well, even Matt, I'll ask you the same question too, because is that the first time you ever played with a puppet?
Oh yeah, yeah. We're lucky that both Jeff and Marcy had a good friend who was in the original Broadway cast.
I
So
think
she
that
came
was
down from New York to
first
train
puppeting
us. So
for all of us.
Yes.
It
Yeah.
was our first experience.
Yeah.
Puppeting.
And Marcy ran a special, had a one night thing where the woman came in and
Oh, yeah.
spoke to people.
It was a week. It was
No,
a
no,
week.
No, but then she came in and did a session for other people.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
I was really impressed because who would have thunk there's acting involved in puppets, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And you had to learn how to act with a
Oh,
puppet.
yeah.
Well, and the first thing she said is, I'm about to teach you another language.
Yeah.
So just realize you don't speak this language at all right now, but by the end of this, you will be speaking a completely different language, and it's very true. It's one of the most difficult roles
Was
I've
it
ever had to
really?
do.
Yeah.
Oh,
It
yeah.
really was.
Oh, yeah.
It was very different. It took a lot of work, a lot of concentration in sort of retraining yourself and how to move, how to relate to other actors on the stage, because you
to other
weren't looking at the
and
other
to other
humans.
puppets too.
So you really had to, and how to move, you know, you couldn't move yourself. You had to learn how to move the puppet the right way and
it
yourself
makes you
the right way.
appreciate the nuance. Like when you see puppetry now, we can appreciate the nuance because as with anything, if someone who does it well makes it look easy.
Looks easy.
So
But-
even down to the fact that they're, I don't know if you even realize this, but they were breathing.
Oh no, the puppets?
The puppets were breathing. That's part of what makes them alive to an audience member. So it's maybe something that you don't necessarily register, but that's what makes them
Right.
alive.
Yeah.
Two questions. One, for each of the three of you, after we finish the upcoming show, what's next? Do we have anything yet?
I don't have anything. She does.
Yes.
I have children that are too little to have something else next.
Yeah, we're lucky to have Christy for this one. So yeah, I'm gonna be doing the Christmas show at SART.
Okay. Oh, I can't wait to
Yeah.
no, the Bedford Falls.
Yes.
Yeah. We're planning already seeing it. Should be great.
Great.
Going to be a great show. Matt, you have anything lined up?
Not currently. We'll see what happens.
Okay. And then also, folks, if people want to come see this show, Dinner with Friends at Attic Salt Theater, it's what dates? It's running the 1st to the 10th, I think.
Yes.
Right?
1st to the 10th.
And best bet to get information on that is what?
Atticsalt.org.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And just,
And it's on Facebook, so you can always just,
Yeah.
search.
We're doing
Alex
2
Salt.
shows on Saturdays, just so you know. So it's 1 Friday night, 2 on Saturday, and a matinee on Sunday for 2 weekends.
Our evening shows are 7:30, Friday and Saturday, and then Saturday and Sunday matinees at 2:30.
and Matt, you have experience in this, of course, but the last question, having to do 2 shows, is that tough?
Not really. I
Back to
mean,
back?
yeah. I mean, in the opera world, that was something that never happened. But
Exactly.
in the theater world, it's it's not so. It's definitely not too bad. It's just it's a long day, but that's that happens at times. So.
But something that you don't have a lot in the Asheville area. They don't, I think
Yeah.
you have a Saturday afternoon and night. But again, invite folks to see Lara Holloway, Christy,
Montes de Oca.
thank you for help. This coming week at Attic Salt and next weekend as well. It's going to be a really good play. I'd like to thank you guys for being my guest this
Thanks for having
second
us.
half
Thank
hour on the
you.
Blaine's World Show.
Thanks.
Also to Bob Perlstein, my guest the first half hour, Amy Prisnash, my producer, and to Zuzu Welch, who provided music here at the beginning of the show and you'll now hear at the end. Please join us next Wednesday at 9 a.m. and here on the new WPVM LP in Asheville, North Carolina. You can also listen on WPVMFM.org and watch on WPVM's Facebook page. You can wave to all your fans and friends watching on Facebook page. We hope to see you next week. It's going. I think here we are.
Thanks.
Thanks, Lane.
Great, thanks, guys.
So I think my coffee cup died every time I take try to drink.
Did you get it
Dribbled
up?
on me. Okay. Put it down because I kept drinking
Turn
from
it.
it and kept waiting.
Now we got another problem. Low battery.